Hey, everybody! Welcome back to another Q&A. This time for the program, six spooky shorts, part of the SF Indie Fest Indie Shorts Festival 2021. Hey, filmmakers! Thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining us. What a great bunch of films! A great bunch of spooky, scary films. Gave me the chills. Some of these, we're lucky to have all the filmmakers with us. Congratulations to you guys for making your movies, for getting into film festival. I'm a filmmaker myself, so I know it's no small achievement. Congrats. All right, so to break the ice, why don't we just have you go around the room and introduce yourself? I'll call you out based on how I see you here on my screen. Samuel, you're first up on my grid. If you'd introduce yourself, maybe state your name, your film, and your role, in case we have some actors or writers on here as well, and a brief synopsis of what your movie's about.
Sure. My name's Samuel Mack. I'm a filmmaker based in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. My film in the lineup is called Face, of which I'm the writer and director and co-producer as well.
And what's it about a little bit?
So in a brief elevator pitch synopsis,
Yes.
a young teenager in Montreal kind of stands up to his bullies by taking some inspiration from his favorite horror film, which in this case is the 1953 film House on Haunted Hill.
Which I love. And I've seen that in the Movie Palace Castro Theater here in San Francisco a few times.
Very cool.
Yes. All right. I have, let's see. It says G. Carter. Forgive me, I didn't remember your first name.
Yeah, do you know what? Like when I signed up, it just went G Carter, and I was like, "Why did I do that?" My name is Gareth. So, but yeah, my name's Gareth. I'm a writer and co-director of my film, which is called The Farmhouse, and it's basically a girl who has been brought up on a very secluded farm with her dad, who just wants to spend time with her buddies and get out as soon as possible. And on a night out where she, escapes to, wherever her friends are hanging out, she accidentally takes a photo that will keep her where she is in that secluded place forever. It's not a happy film.
Aha.
Sorry,
Just
did
so
I
you
cut
know, your
out?
Wi-Fi was a little spotty there, but we got the gist of it. And it was a nice twist of a film, too. I did not see that coming. Khalib, am I saying your name correctly?
It's just Caleb.
Caleb, sorry.
Caleb. Yeah.
Forgive me. You're next.
So I feel a little bit out of place among all these like horror films. I am the sole animator and creator of Memento. It's an animated short, if that wasn't obvious, I guess.
Yeah.
I completed it in my last year of college at DePaul for animation. It is a short about a goblin who is, from a world of monsters, subterranean, and has to go up into the human world and steal something from the humans. And, but she's a little too kind-hearted for all of that. So it various hijinks ensue. There's monster hunters involved. I had a lot of fun making this.
It's a lovely film. Yeah, maybe it's not a horror film, but it definitely, I'm a Halloween fan, and it helped prepare me for Halloween coming up.
Absolutely. That's the vibe I was going for. So
right on. Perfect. Well done. Matt, you're next on my list here.
Hi, my name is Matt Cochran. I'm the writer and director of Itch. Itch is it's about a transgender teen who finds a artifact in the woods, smokes from it, conjures a monster that stalks him for the rest of the film, and then you come to discover at the end of the film that the monster is actually his judgmental mother.
Another nice twist. Good. Thank you. And representing the clump, Dimitri and Natasha.
Yeah, hello everybody. Nice to see you. Thank you for inviting us. So yeah, my name is Dmitry Tsozik. And
I'm Natasha.
so yeah, we've made everything together. It was our passion project. So we made this little short horror flick, which all happens in one location, one character, with a little twist in the end about our star fighting a creepy thing coming out of a sink.
And that kind of leads me to a question next, but I do have to say, I'm a filmmaker myself, so it's good that you're in one location, one actor. Keep it simple. Probably made it a lot easier, if you will, easier.
Yeah, that was a pun. Yeah.
Exactly.
So what? Going around the room, and I'll call you out. What was the inspiration? How the heck did you guys come up with your film, The Clump?
So inspiration mostly was us locked down, in our environment, and what we can do with this, like what we can create. Aside of this, some visual inspiration from Stanley Kubrick horror film like The Shining, and from some Japanese horror when, if you're cursed, that's forever. You cannot avoid this. Like you cannot fight this, like really. So that was the main inspiration for us.
And how about Natasha? Any other inspiration in addition?
I don't know. No. All this hair, just, Jimmy came up with this idea. I was like, oh God, it's so gross. Yeah, let's do that. I was like, and several scenes, when you see me react, I like was scared for real because of all the, effects,
Huh?
and
Yeah.
I saw that like hair moving. I was like, ah,
Yeah, I know. There's something about hair too, right?
oh God.
Even if it's in your food, even though it may be your own, it could ruin your food. Or the experience of it. So there's something about that. Matt, how about you? What inspired you to make your movie? Where did it come from? Could be many sources.
Yeah, I wanted to write something about teenage addiction. So that was like the starting point. And then I did some research and found out that trans teens are twice as likely to become addicted than non-trans teens. So that combined with like what was going on politically at the time, mostly the trans military bans really sort of propelled me forward with it. And then also like I kind of crafted the story around different effects that I wanted to like dip my toe into playing with that I hadn't before. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah. And as you guys can see, when you do, or if you've watched all of these films, there's a nice mix of them, several different kind of moods, feelings, messages, experiences, and that's the beauty of being able to tie these together in the same program, same block. You get something different out of all of them. Speaking of Caleb, your animation, that different movie. What was your inspiration?
As a kid, I really liked kind of offbeat things. There's the James the Giant Peach was a huge favorite of mine as a kid, and I knew I always wanted to make something that was along that same vein, where it's spooky but accessible enough. It's just scary enough for like a younger audience to kind of dip their toe into that kind of atmosphere. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of obsessed with just moods and feelings and that kind of thing, and so a few different things I was working on in college that I just really wanted to see if I could do it by myself and without like as little outside influence as possible, and by the skin of my teeth maybe, but yeah.
Well, how about the story? Where'd that come from?
I knew I also wanted to, I spent a lot of time by myself my mom's a teacher. I spent a lot of time by myself, and I'm an only child, so I spent a lot of time in her classroom reading children's books. So I wanted to kind of make a nod to me having to imagine stuff by myself, and also kind of an homage to the children's books that kind of kept me entertained and creatively stimulated when I was a kid.
Yeah, I can see that. Right on. Gareth, how about yourself? What inspired you where did the inspiration come from?
So I think with like a short film, I think short films are really hard things to make because you're looking to sort of like tie up a story in a really short space of time. And I think, as a feature affords you more time to explore that. So I was just kind of looking for a hook, and I do a lot of street photography on my phone and photography. And I got this hook about a photo, and I was, actually that's really interesting. So I work in advertising, in like content where we're working with budgets that are really small and we're trying to achieve too much. And there's a photographer that I work with, and I came to him and I was like, look, let's do something together. I had the twist. I wrote the script very quickly. it was very easy to picture then, and then we just went for it. You know, we're experienced at like producing stuff very quickly. So
Yeah.
we found a farm, we turned it around in like 3 days, the whole thing, and we just lent on as many people as we could to get involved and buy into it. And as an aesthetic, we kind of like, you know, it's based around like what's happens on a smartphone, but we went like, let's go 80s. We love 80s, just love the style of like sort of like 80s movies and the imagination that it offers. So we chose a look and we just kind of went hard and sort of doubled down on an idea and got as many people excited to just help us out as much as possible and borrow lights and borrow cameras and
Wow. True indie spirit. And I can see where you know, you got a lot of your experiences helped get this made, you know, in the advertising world, and making a tight story as well, you know. 'Cause yeah, movie making's hard. And making a short film is even harder. And you probably, you know, been involved in commercials and whatnot or around that world, and those even tell stories in 30 seconds to a minute, you know.
Yeah, totally. It's taking sort of like understanding like, you know, short form messaging and kind of like trying to put that into film, which is what I was kind of getting at. Once we had that idea, it's like, okay, this is what we do for bread and butter. We're going to make something super short and we're going to, you know, try and over deliver, which is what we try to do on every shoot that you're working on in a short period of time. So it kind of all just fell into place and made sense once we could buy into the idea and get behind something.
And then you lead me to another question too. Of all your films, you definitely all create a mood and an atmosphere, which is wonderful. Well done, everybody. I mean, you're really in this other world, your world that you created, all you guys, even with the animation. Samuel, what was your inspiration?
So, I mean, this is the first film I made that was actually based on real life. A lot of the stuff I'd done in the past was kind of just, all right, let's go and make a genre film. Let's do a horror film. Let's do a sci-fi or whatever. And then finding kind of ways to do that and kind of coming up stories that fit into those genres. Whereas this one was very much based on kind of aspects of my own childhood and then aspects of my dad's as well. So I kind of like, you know, smushed them together. And I'd always wanted to make a film that was, you know, outdoors in the Montreal summer. I've done outdoors in the Montreal winter and I'll never do that again. So to do something outdoors and especially to work with actors who are quite young and are just starting, they all come from agencies and they're all really comfortable in front of the camera. I found that like super easy to work with. They really knew their stuff as soon as they came on set. And it allowed, you know, myself and Harley, our cinematographer, to kind of just be a little bit more experimental, especially with the outdoor stuff. But the look and feel, the atmosphere very much kind of came from, okay, this is the film that is like, you know, from a personal standpoint, House on Haunted Hill was a very formative film for me. And I'm like, how could I have that bleed into the film? So the black and white aspect became kind of a choice early on. And then we went with Russian anamorphic lenses from the 70s to kind of try and bridge that kind of old and new. And then we kind of went from there. And as you know, as you said, like sometimes you just got to turn this around really quick. And we did this also in 3 days. And we were lucky that it didn't rain or anything like that, because if it had,
and you worked with kids. I mean, that's an independent filmmaker. You're a first time filmmaker. No kids, no animals, no explosion.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd worked with a child actor on a previous project, and I remember thinking that was something that, you know, I felt was extremely difficult at the time. But these actors were all 16, 17, and they all are in theater school. So, like I said, I was like super surprised by how easy it was. It was actually a little bit easier than working with older actors at times.
Yeah, they were excellent. Well, on that kind of thought, what usually I ask what a challenge was. I'm going to go around the room here, the Zoom room. What a challenge was, or just a movie making moment you want to experience. Sam, I'll keep talking to you. What was a challenge or movie making moment from making Face?
The post production was tough. That was all done in COVID. So, you know, color correction and sound mixing and everything like that was done remote for the most part. But in terms of the actual shooting challenges, it was some of the locations. We had very limited time, especially on, say, the train tracks or something like that. where we just had to roll really quick and make sure that blocking was, understood. But yeah, definitely locations were the challenge.
I hear you, Gareth. Garrett, how about you? Movie making moment, a challenge.
Yeah, we shot at nighttime. That's just a hell of a
Oh, yeah.
challenge. So we were trying to light for night, and that was crazy.
What were your hours? If you did in 3 days, when did you start? When did you finish?
So
at
we
night?
started on the first day. We knew we were going to be working into the night, so we shot a bit of exterior at about like 3 o'clock, and we worked through right till sort of like, I don't know, 1 or 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was the night stuff because it's just so hard to light night, right? So we had a great DOP who was really experienced, but we were just kind of getting it right. And as I said, we were going for an 80s aesthetic, so it kind of lent itself to kind of lean in to be stylistic. So it was just getting that sort of blue light that just kind of feels like, a little bit, mystical, but not, getting in the way of the storytelling or questioning anything like, where's this light coming from? Is it moonlight or anything like that? It was just to try and get a blue sort of tinge to it. And that took a lot of time and a lot of patience.
No, well, you did it. You got it. I mean, it wasn't shot on film because it was shot on film or no? It wasn't shot on film.
No,
No, I know.
digital, yeah.
But it has that look.
Yeah, no, we put a lot of grain in the grade. I mean, if we could shot it on film, I would have loved to shoot it on film, like absolutely. But
You don't
we
need
put
to
a lot of
anymore.
grain.
Yeah. Well, you did it. Congrats. And then Caleb, a challenge or movie anecdote making it?
Well, I worked on all of this maybe 3 feet away from my bed. The plan was to go into it, working in labs with, powerful computers that could, handle.
So having the
programs.
invitation to your bed to take a nap was very difficult. You had to lay down.
I mean, it's my whole world was, within a 5-foot radius, and then every once in a while I would visit the bathroom or the fridge. And mid film, our house got infested with rats that came out of our oven from the neighbors next door. They crawled through the walls of our apartment, and then the only exit was in our apartment.
This sounds
So
similar to the Clump. It sounds a little like a movie.
Yeah,
Is that real?
just about, yeah. So that was probably the biggest challenge, I would say. Definitely not something that I'm used to encountering on a usual production. So
Yeah. Okay. And then Dimitri, how about you guys? Natasha.
This was our first film ever, so everything was a challenge. We did everything wrong, learned a lot, and I'd say the biggest challenge was removing all the reflections because of all the mirrors and everything reflecting camera. I spent a lot of time doing this.
Yeah, and you picked a reflective room, a bathroom, mirrors, porcelain, toilet, the floor.
Yeah, that was tough. But there was a lot of happy accidents. A lot of things just happened just because we tried something.
Yeah.
A lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, and for me it was like I did all the practical effects kind of preparation. So all the hair, all the kind of liquid, all the gross stuff.
Can I ask you a filmmaker question? I probably know the answer, but when you did the shot of you're stabbing the monster, the hare, that was just purely perspective and angle, or I mean, I was kind of cringing that you would miss, or is that just good acting?
Almost all shots are reversed, actually.
Mhm.
1 second.
Yeah, we lost you guys.
Yeah, almost all shots are reversed. So essentially, Natasha was kind of moving in slower, but then
Yeah.
kind of pulling it out faster, and then I reversed it and added like liquid splatter, stuff like this to hide it.
It was scary to do. I mean, for me.
It looked dangerous.
Putting this into my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably added to the performance, right?
I hope so.
It was excellent. You did excellent. It was wonderful. Matt, what was some movie making moments or challenges for you?
I feel like the biggest challenge was keeping the production contained. So in my film, I needed a tree. There's a tree that's featured heavily in the film, and so I couldn't find one. So I ended up that's our property that we shot on in upstate New York. So I went out in the yard and I carved a tree base. I carved the hole in the tree and basically created it. So I mean, that's the thing I'm most proud of too with the film for whatever reason is the way that the tree turned out. So.
It's a great moment and a great shot too. I was curious like how you got that. I actually thought maybe it was something special effects or it was a prop, or, or a studio or a stage or something, but that was your property, huh? And
Yeah.
the lumberjack.
Yeah. Chainsaw. It took like 3 days just to carve that hole in the
Wow.
tree.
Wow.
It was a great frame. When the first thing I saw when I saw that frame with the face through it, I was like, nice frame, like that.
Me too. And I was like, and it's like that must be, some trick. Not a real tree. And then also, your actor in it is in every movie. Even your animated actors are wonderful, Caleb. But for the performers in these different movies, how did you get the performances? How did you, the acting's wonderful. Matt, how did you find this perfect person, or did you, how did you get there?
Yeah, Cleo I found through. I forgot actually how I found Cleo. It's been it was online. It was a post online, but I interviewed him through Skype. He was great. He had some experience too, which was helpful, and had I thought the perfect look for what I was going for. One of the challenges of working with a trans actor of that age is that like where are they at in their transition?
Yeah, right.
And Cleo was such an amazing collaborator, and amazing to go through this film with me at this part of his life. But yeah, and then there was some tricks to at times you have to navigate the performance and get things out of the characters. So there were times where I didn't tell him what I was going to do, and I would scream at him off camera or jump at him, things like that. But he had enough experience to sort of bring the performance himself.
Yeah. Kudos to him. Tell him what a good job. Dimitri, how did you get Natasha just to be so believable?
Yeah, essentially the first version of the script was quite different, but then as we start planning, she told me I would do everything differently. So I said, okay, what would you do? How you would react naturally? What would you grab? What would you think? And aside from I would run away the first second and never come back to this apartment. We couldn't do that. So, but everything else is based on her natural reaction. And I don't know.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. And the benefits of having, co-writers and collaborators, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion? I do this a little differently. Sometimes the collaboration improves the piece. Right on. Caleb, I know it's animation, but voice performers who?
Again, this kind of also goes into the whole, remote everything. The intention for this class that I worked in this film in is that, we work with a theater school that's attached to the animation department, and it's a really wonderful thing, but none of the actors had access to any sort of recording software. So most of everything is just shot on people's phones that they sent me audio files that I had to clean up myself and then kind of stitch together. And then I had to voice some of the characters too, which was then a nightmare because then I had to order a decent microphone for classes and everything at the same time. I managed to get some reshoots though, which was more than I expected. But again, they were shot in the main character, Pimento, shot all of her lines again in her bathroom over Thanksgiving.
On the phone?
Yes, on the phone. Yeah, we were just on the phone together so I could give her notes. It was, she had to, muffle everything with towels that she could find around.
I mean, if you get clean audio, the 5 phones nowadays can record decent audio if you have a quiet location. It's amazing.
Well, it was certainly good enough for me. I was a little wary at first though.
Yeah. Samuel, how about you? Same question.
Yeah, so the actors, like I said, we looked immediately into agencies, and I think 3 of them were from the same agency, and then the lead, Mattis, was from a different one. And then in the weeks leading up, we met up, we rehearsed without the camera, because a lot of these were long takes with Steadicam. So we actually blocked it out on location, and then by the time we were on set, we could roll pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, again, just went to agencies for this, and yeah, found
And the benefits of rehearsals. That's nice.
absolutely.
And Garrett, how'd you get such good performances? And your lead actress is just, so natural.
Yeah, I mean, she was the thing that tied it together. So we auditioned, and we were trying it. We were finding it hard to find that sort of lead actress, because we kind of wanted to have her in place so that everyone that is going to act with that part could bounce from that person. So we put a call out online, and we finally found this girl Millie. And she came in and she was like, we're trying to find, someone to be, her boyfriend in the piece. And she actually suggested her boyfriend. So she brought him along, and we auditioned him. And we were like, okay, wow, he's really scary. He's really cool. And then we had a break from set, from shooting. And then she called me up saying, listen, I've split up with my boyfriend. Do you think that's a problem? I'm like, no, I don't think it's a problem. Do you think it's a problem? And
Use it.
Exactly. So we kind of maybe harness some of that tension, but she really brought it. Like we were so sure that she'd do a good job, but we were actually shocked when we were on set and actually seeing it, and like the power of seeing someone, do that live. I think actors are just amazing. They make something like, brilliant, take it from, something that could be here up to there when they give a great performance.
Yeah. When they take your words and they see it come to life, you just get the tingles as a director, right? It's like, oh my goodness. Wonderful. Okay, well, we don't have much more time. If you guys do want to ask each other questions, take the opportunity now, interrupt me, but I'm going to ask you for one more answer. Garrett, I'll start with you since we're there. Any kind of parting words of wisdom? It could be like, what you want your audiences to feel from your movie, or even advice to future filmmakers or your other filmmakers, your colleagues right here. Any advice, something like that?
I don't know. I think I'm trying to get another film off the ground, and I think I have to remind myself, where I was when I was trying to get the first film off the ground. Is like, it seems impossible, and it seems like, why bother? I can't do this. It's never going to be any good, and I can't get that many people interested to help me out anyway. But I think what you really have to do as a filmmaker is you have to put all your personal fear and your personal ego essentially aside and go, look, this might screw up, and I might look like an idiot, but I'm going to kind of do it. I'm going to follow the scent that I think is really good, or I think, could make a good story. And you just have to go for it and not worry about anything else apart from making that movie. And once that starts, and once that machine starts, then kind of people come with you on the journey, and you just have to get in that frame of mind.
True. Right. Go for it. Right. Good advice. Samuel, any parting words of wisdom, either for your audiences, the world, or filmmakers?
I think the one thing that I'm always like really worried about before I start shooting is like kind of shot listing and storyboarding and making sure that's like exactly as I see in my head. But the best stuff is never storyboard or shot list, like a lot of the stuff that we got out of this film kind of happened on the spot. And I always have to remind myself that that is an aspect of making films that I always get paranoid about before I go into another project. I'm also lining something else up, and it's been 18 months since, I shot something, and I feel like I don't know what I'm doing anymore, but I feel like that's a normal part of the process. So I'm just hoping
we feel rusty, with the recent current events if you haven't been doing anything, but just between projects, you got to get the rust out, but
Absolutely.
Garrett said you got to go for it.
Yeah.
Caleb, parting words of wisdom to anyone.
I wish I could go back in time and tell myself this, but production creep was a massive challenge throughout all of this. Just kind of knowing my abilities and what I was able to do without burning myself out, and knowing how to kind of like, yes, I could do this, but is it healthy or wise for me to try and cram this into a already tight schedule? Just kind of figuring out not necessarily limits, but just what's sustainable to kind of keep up.
Yeah, keep a good work-life balance. I got to remind myself of that too. The Clump filmmakers, parting words for your fellow colleagues or the world.
Yeah, I guess the biggest lesson for us that I wish I realized sooner was like, if you have a cool idea, don't waste like years savoring it, like thinking about it. Start like doing it right away. You learn everything else like in the process. That was the biggest takeaway.
Yeah, you never stop learning. I keep telling myself, because like take another class, take another class. Get ready to make. It's like go and make the movie. You can always keep learning. Natasha,
Sorry.
oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. I have a question for Caleb. I love how you established so many cool characters like real fast, and the world and lore. So yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen to them. What's up with this monster hunting duo? Are you planning a series basically?
This didn't end. This didn't start off as like a pilot, but it kind of morphed into it. And I would love to see this picked up by something. I don't have any plans right now because I'm just trying to get employed anywhere right now. But I would love to see this go anywhere else. Maybe some comics or something like that. Something a little bit more manageable on like a freelance basis, I guess. But yeah, I would love to see this taken anywhere else.
Hey Garrett, if you need any animators for any advertising down the road, keep Caleb in mind.
Certainly will.
And I agree that, the most difficult part is just to start and then, just work through it and finish the project.
Yeah, right on. And Matt, last but not least, parting words of wisdom.
Yeah, for me, what stands out mostly is like if you're considering working with visual effects, stay away from smoke unless you could really afford a team to like a real team to work on it, because that was the most frustrating part of the entire post-production process.
Got it. Well, hey, my final words of wisdom are gratitude. Thank you guys. You filmmakers are fantastic. I appreciate your time. I hope to meet you in person, either on a movie set or in the movie theater sometime soon. But in the meantime, thank you for participating. Congrats on getting in the festival. Good luck with the festival circuit and your film careers. It's been a pleasure, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Be well.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.